Currently, it is 89 degrees here on the campus of St. Louis Community College at Florissant Valley. I'm Jell with your noon news update. A group of people are suing over how St. Louis police handled protests last year. Lawsuits were filed yesterday on behalf of demonstrators who were arrested in a police kettle and others who were pepper sprayed at City Hall. The protests were sparked by the acquittal of former police officer Jason Stockley, who was charged with murder in the deadly shooting of Anthony Smith. The suits claim officers violated the plaintiff's civil rights. A driver is dead following a head-on two-vehicle crash in Lake St. Louis. Police say the accident happened last night near St. Louis Boulevard and Lake Forest Circle. The other driver suffered non-life-threatening injuries. A man is accused of attacking his brother with a hammer last week in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Adrian Lofton is facing battery charges. Police say the suspect hit his brother on the head with a hammer Tuesday at home in the 100 block of Highland Park Drive. Lofton is currently in custody at the St. Clair County Jail on $30,000 bail. Now, on to the weather. Today, it is mostly sunny, a high of 92, low of 71. Tomorrow, it will be partly cloudy, high of 94, low of 74. Thursday, mostly sunny, high of 94, low of 74. Friday, scattered thunderstorms, high of 85, low of 61. And Saturday, we've got showers with a high of 72, a low of 60. Currently, it is 89 degrees here on the campus of Florissant Valley Community College. I'm Jell, and this has been your noon news update. But please stay tuned, because after a short break, we will be back with GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show, which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. We like to kick the show off with what our new game releases are for this week, what's coming out next week, and what anime are in theaters, before going on to all sorts of the latest video game news, some of which you may not have heard, because, let me tell you, I look at some pretty weird news when it comes to gaming. Either way, it's time for us to take a short break, so here is In My Body by Bates, here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. Thank you so much for listening. That was In My Body by Bates, here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. I'm your host, Jell, and welcome to GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show, which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. But if you ever miss an episode, remember, I finally have the archive up on YouTube. So just search up GameBabble Live archive, and you'll find over 60 episodes of GameBabble Live, including the newest episodes released within a few days of me actually doing them. Sometimes there are hiccups and hang-ups, depending on technical issues that tend to happen at about 1:10. We're going to be trying to catch those technical issues today, or at least I am. I want to know what keeps going on. But regardless, welcome to GameBabble Live. I'm your host, Jell, and we like to kick this show off with the new game releases for this week, what's coming out next week, and what anime is in theaters. And oh, God, there's a lot of stuff now. Because, it's September. That means it's time to start putting out your Christmas decorations. That's how it works, right? There's some retail stores actually saying that. Anyway. Let's see. Today on PlayStation 4, we've got Anodyne, Blind, Brawlout, Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle, which, oh buddy, we will talk more about that later in the show. Downward Spiral Horus Station, which is a PlayStation VR game. Fishing Sim World. Hover, Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk, which is a dungeon crawler from Nippon Ichi. Looks, I'm very interested in it, honestly. I might pick that one up. Anyway, then Legendary Fishing. Okay, 2 fishing games today. Sure, why not? Mutant Football League Dynasty Edition, which is indeed an indie rebirth of Mutant League Football, but EA owns Mutant League Football, so this is Mutant Football League. Get it? Anyway, Neon Wall, which, has VR support, but is not exclusively a PlayStation VR game, apparently. RGX Showdown, Scribblenauts Mega Pack, Speed Brawl, which is kind of like a Smash Brothers racing game? I was looking at that earlier. Splody, The Door, Transference, which is a PlayStation VR game, Trickster VR, which is a PlayStation VR game that annoyingly got delayed since last Friday, but it's finally here, and Unearthing Mars 2, The Ancient War. I love that name. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but that is also a PlayStation VR game, and Warface. That's a game name, Warface. Okay. Anyway, on the 20th, SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy gets Thief Arthur from the Million Arthur series released, along with the patch that'll finally give you proper arcade stick support, and maybe clean up that online play. Following that, we've got The Gardens Between and Toon War, and then on the 21st is 8-Bit Armies and My Brother Rabbit. Moving on to Xbox One. Xbox One today has the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle as well. Fishing Sim World, Scribblenauts Megapack, Speed Brawl, Transference. Okay, I guess you don't need VR for it. So good, because that's supposed to be a big deal. Anyway, Hover, which, of course, that's sort of like an indie Jet Set Radio inspired game. It's been in development for eons. League of Evil, 8-Bit Armies, Anodyne, My Brother Rabbit, and Wenjia. On Nintendo Switch this week, we've got Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Dusk, Legendary Fishing, Mutant Football League Dynasty Edition, Omvorm, Scribblenauts Megapack, Speed Brawl, Sword of the Guardian, which looks like a wonky Guardian Heroes knockoff. Might be worth looking at, I don't know. Anyway, Undertale's on Switch today, so if you like Undertale, that's there. Following that, we've got Siegecraft Commander, and on the 20th, A Case of Distrust, Hover, Light Fingers, Magicat, Mitsurugi Kamui Hikae. I need to finally give that a chance. Reigns, Kings and Queens, which I think might be about deer. Retimed, SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy, Thief Arthur character DLC. The Card, Poker, Texas Hold'em, Blackjack, Page 1. The Gardens Between, Velocity 2X on the 21st. Broken Sword 5, The Serpent's Curse, Debris Infinity, I Am the Hero, My Brother Rabbit, the Banner Saga Trilogy, and I guess maybe a wider release for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torn of the Golden Country, which is looking to be a very, very impressive piece of DLC. Like, I've been watching someone play a little bit of it. It looks like it's pretty much a full second RPG. They just get to recycle content from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So, if you have a Nintendo Switch and you're starving for some RPG action, why didn't you buy Xenoblade Chronicles 2? Because you should have. It's amazing. Moving on. 3DS has nothing this week. And the Vita has Pato Box. Moving on. What's coming out next week? Next week on PlayStation 4, we've got Rocket League Hot Wheels Triple Threat DLC Pack. Hot Wheels and Rocket League seem like they go together quite well. Air Missions, Hind, Creed, Rise to Glory. Yeah, that's a PlayStation VR boxing game based on the Apollo Creed, thing. It's a Rocky spinoff. Point is, boxing on PlayStation VR, again, and I watched some videos, when you get knocked out, if you get knocked out hard enough, your soul flies out of your body and you have to run back to your body to recover. It's brilliant. I want to do that. I want to fight people that can punch the soul out of my body. Moving on. Dakar 18, FIFA 19 Champions Edition, Friday the 13th The Game Ultimate Slasher Edition, Hollow Knight, Void Heart Edition. So many editions. Metal Max Xeno, which I'm very interested in. Hey, Penguin Coon Wars! Punchline, which is a visual novel that I think expands upon the anime. Either way, The Council, Episode 4, Burning Bridges, The Walking Dead, The Telltale Series, the final season, Episode 2, Suffer the Children. Whew, that's the name. Think of the Children. This is the Police 2, Time Spinner, and Valkyria Chronicles 4, along with 3 different DLC packs, a captainless squad, a united front with Squad 7, and Eddie's Advance Ops. And then we've got The Crew 2, Gator Rush, which I would assume, I don't know. Then Life is Strange 2, Episode 1, comes out on the 27th. On the 28th is Catastronauts, FIFA 19, and Owlboy Limited Edition. Moving on, Xbox One, what you get next week? Xbox One is getting Rocket League Hot Wheels Triple Threat DLC Pack, Dakar 18, FIFA 19 Ultimate Edition, Friday the 13th, The Game Ultimate Slasher Collector's Edition. Hollow Knight Void Heart Edition, The Walking Dead, The Telltale Series, the final season, Episode 2, Suffer the Children, This is Police 2, Valkyria Chronicles 4, and 3 different tasty flavors of DLC, along with The Crew 2, Gator Rush, and Life is Strange 2, Episode 1, Catastronauts, FIFA 19, Forza Horizon 4, hey, there you go, Ultimate Edition, and Owlboy Limited Edition. Moving on, Nintendo Switch next week is getting Rocket League Hot Wheels Triple Threat DLC Pack, A Gummy's Life, FIFA 19 Champions Edition, Flipping Death, Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams Owltimate Edition, Oh My Godheads Party Edition, South Park The Stick of Truth, The Walking Dead, The Telltale Series, the final season, Episode 2, Suffer the Children, Think of the Children, This is the Police 2, Ultimate Chicken Horse, Valkyria Chronicles 4, and 3 different flavors of DLC, and then Snake vs. Snake, Alwa's Awakening, Armello, ooh, Switch port of Armello, Exhorter, Rooms, The Adventure of Anne and George, Towerfall, Wandersong, Whispering Willows, Demon's Crystals, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which you're going to want to pre-order if you want to get the Super Nintendo version, the Super Nintendo Dragon Ball Butoden game. The only way to get that is to pre-order Dragon Ball Fighter Z for your Switch. It will not be sold separately. FIFA 19, Golf Story, which I remember hearing really good things about that. Namco Museum Arcade Pack, with a C, like Pac-Man. Owlboy Limited Edition, Splatoon 2 Starter Pack, Super Mario Odyssey Starter Pack, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Starter Pack. Sounds to me like they're putting some bundles in the stores for the Christmases. So if you don't have your Switches, there you go, just in time to be ripped off by Nintendo's online features. We'll talk about that later in the show. Moving on, 3DS next week is getting Yokai Watch Blasters Moonrabbit Crew and Jake Hunter Detective Story Ghost of the Dusk, while the PlayStation Vita next week gets Punchline and Time Spinner. And that sums up our new game releases for this week and next week. But what anime are in theaters? Well, Haikyuu, the movie Battle of Concepts, is in theaters September 19th subbed, September 22nd subbed, and September 23rd subbed. Digimon Adventure Tri Future is in theaters September 20th dubbed. And My Hero Academia 2 Heroes will be in theaters September 25th dubbed, September 26th subbed, September 27th dubbed, September 29th dubbed, and October 2nd subbed. And My Neighbor Totoro will be in theaters September 30th dubbed, October 1st subbed, and October 3rd dubbed. So, there you go. Those are our new game releases for this week and next week. What anime are in theaters? All sorts of good times. I'm really curious about this, what is the Namco Museum Arcade Pack? Like, I know there was already a Namco Museum on Switch. What makes this one different? I'm curious because I tend to buy Namco museums. I tend to like Namco museums. Try to look this up as fast as I can. Sky Kid, Rolling Thunder, Tank Force. Oh, Splatterhouse. Nice. Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 Plus. I guess that's the big deal. I'm going to need more information on this. I know there was a Namco museum last year on the Switch that had Pac-Man Versus. Honestly, nothing's quite as good as the old PS1 Namco museums, because those had an actual museum you could run around in. Oh, is that actually the concept? They're calling it a 2-in-1 pack. So I guess this is just the Namco museum they released last year, also with Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 Plus. Okay. Friends. Interesting. Anyway. So, yeah, that is our game releases for this week, which I know you're probably looking at. You're probably listening to that and you're thinking, that doesn't sound too crazy. You know, not a lot of, like, super big name games. I mean, you got your FIFA, and in general, that tends to be enough to get people very interested. You know, they're getting their FIFAs. But for me, as you know, I'm a big fan of the PlayStation VR and VR in general. And out of nowhere, we've got like 4 or 5 PlayStation VR games released today, like without warning. They're just like, oh, hey, by the way, bam. And like, what was it, like week before last was also a big release week for the PlayStation VR. So, that's a thing. And, yeah, so, gonna be honest, just before the show, I was sliding in here a little late. I had to scramble because just before the show, I tried to buy and download 3 different games all at once. I was like, I'm gonna see if I can play any of these before the show so I can talk about them. Almost no dice. I managed to get Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, just before running out the door. So during the break, I might have to, spend a little bit of time with that to give y'all a little more information on how it is, cause, you're probably interested in Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle at that price with what they offer. I'm not allowed to say price tags on the air, but, this is a pretty good deal right there. I'm gonna take a better look at it. It doesn't look like it has any graphics options. It looks like option-wise it's really sparse, but what I've seen I've played like 5 seconds of it, and then I watched the credits, which is the most interesting thing. I can't find out who actually did the port, because of course, it's rare for like Capcom themselves or for the main companies themselves to do the ports. Usually when they re-release old games, they farm them out to some kind of company, usually Digital Eclipse or Backbone Entertainment, Code Mystics, Hamster, or M2. Those are some of the, or .mu. Those are some of the big, like, old game porting companies. And when I checked the credits of the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, I didn't see any of their names. And judging by the names I actually saw in the bundle... Hello? I love getting... That was interesting. I love getting random phone calls while I'm on the air. That was a, I picked up the phone to see what it was, and it was a my pocket had already answered the call, and it was a telemarketer trying to sell me life insurance. Of course it was. This is getting to be a running thing. Is it just life insurance season? I notice that tends to happen around September. Just everyone starts getting their phone calls for life insurance. Anyway. Yeah, so for the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, I checked the credits of the game before running out the door. I didn't see any company names on it. I saw Digital Hearts, but I think Digital Hearts is... I don't think they're a porting company. Yeah, they're quality assurance and localization outsourcing. So, they didn't do the ports. Judging by the names I see in the credits, I think this might be an in-house Capcom venture. I think Capcom themselves actually handled the Beat 'em Up bundle. And one of the interesting things, though, the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle is unfortunately digital only for America. In Japan, it will be getting a physical release on December 6th. It is a very nice looking digital or physical release, but it is coming out much later. So, yeah, give and take. But yeah, I'm going to definitely spend a little time with that. I am not an expert on, I'm only a little bit of an expert on these games. I don't have quite the ear to tell for, sound emulation issues unless they're really massive. I'm definitely going to keep my eyes out for any pixel warping. But, any incorrectly stretched games. But yeah, I'll do my best to let y'all know how it turns out, but that is something we should all be interested in. Anyway, enough of me rambling. Here is Feel So Good by St. Orleans, here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave, diverse music for your diverse mind. And stay tuned for more GameBabble Live when we get back from this song. Thank you so much for listening. That was Ghetto Streets by Young K here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave, diverse music for your diverse mind. I'm your host, Jell, and welcome back to GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show, which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. But if you happen to miss this show, don't worry. You can also check out over 60 episodes of GameBabble Live on YouTube by searching up GameBabble Live Archive. You'll find one of them. You can watch it there. So, as I said, I would be researching the Capcom Beat 'em Up collection in between various breaks, and unfortunately, I do have a little bit of bad news. Yeah. Now, mind you, I am playing this on the Switch in portable mode, so that may contribute to this, but I can safely say that they have definitely screwed up the resolution on Knights of the Round and Captain Commando. Hopefully Capcom will patch this. It is nowhere near as bad as the Dungeons & Dragons Shadow over Mystara port to 360 and PS3, where in the US one completely botched the resolution and made the game look way uglier, but it is a similar issue. Lancelot's armor pretty much eliminated any doubt I had. I immediately hit up Google and started looking for some screenshots to compare, and yeah, it looks like, I don't know, it's definitely wrong though, because the chainmail isn't an even grid. Every other row of pixels is doubled. And that is a sign that they screwed up the resolution. But, well, despite this fact, like I said, it's not too terribly bad, but the games do look a little worse than their original arcade releases, at least when you're playing them on Switch. So I guess it's time to go talk about the Capcom Beat 'em Up collection, even though you know what, no. I want to check a few other games before I say anything else. So let's get on to our other video game news, because holy gad, is there a lot of it. I believe the top story, you could say, is the fact that, over this past week, Nintendo did a new Nintendo Direct and announced a whole bunch of crazy things which caught us off guard, like Luigi's Mansion 3 for Switch. Like, one person called this, because in the Castlevania trailer, they noticed that Luigi's vacuum had a different tank on his back, and it was like, what does this mean? Could there be a new Luigi's Mansion? And the answer is yes. Yes, there could be a new Luigi's Mansion. There is. So, he called that one. But, yeah, so there's that, and then the original Luigi's Mansion is getting a 3DS port that also has, like, single-pack boss fights, and you can do two-player Link. They've also announced that new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is coming to Nintendo Switch, which will not only contain new Super Mario Bros. U and new Super Luigi U, but will also add in the ability to play as Nabbit regularly and Toadette, who, if she grabs a crown mushroom, becomes Peachette, which has the entire internet baffled. I understand why they did it, because people were clamoring for playable Peach, but Peach is kidnapped, so they'd have to completely redo what little plot the game has, which, it kind of just makes things kind of weird. So they're like, fine, Toadette can turn into Peach if she gets a crown. Okay, that's a thing. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn was announced, but they weren't very clear on the fact that it is a new 3DS game. You cannot play it on a regular 3DS, you need a new 3DS. Also, Warframe, of all things, is coming to Switch. I guess that's some crazy optimization if they could get Warframe running on Switch. I'm curious to see how they pull that off. But the one that most intrigued me, if you're at all familiar with me, I already mentioned that Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is getting a Switch and PS4 port, and I'm very excited about that, and how I have my fingers crossed that it has offline play, because they have announced Crystal Chronicles for PS4 and Switch will have online play, and that's fantastic. But of course, anyone who remembers Crystal Chronicles remembers that every player required a GBA. Kind of pointlessly. I've played a lot of that game. You really didn't need the GBA. You could totally do that without the GBA by, like, having little inventory windows above each character when they hit the start button. You could do that. But that wasn't how they handled it on GameCube, and doing that might take a little bit of extra work, and so I'm concerned on if there's going to be any local offline multiplayer, which Square hasn't really said anything about. But again, it's also a little bit early. But that wasn't the only Final Fantasy coming to Switch. Apparently Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age is getting a Switch port, which, if you know me, I love Final Fantasy XII. The Zodiac Age effectively fixed almost all my problems with 12 making it just utterly phenomenal, and now you're going to be able to get on Switch. But that's not the only one. You'll also be able to get Final Fantasy 7, 9, 10, and 10-2 on your Switch. They're all coming to Switch. Apparently, they're all coming to, like, a couple different consoles. I mean, the PS4 already has Final Fantasy 7, and the remake, supposedly, but, yeah. Big pile of Final Fantasies showing up on your Switch. Be able to play Final Fantasy 7 portably without a PSP or Vita, because you could do it that way, too. No, it's true. You could download, PS1 games off the PSN store and play them on your PSP and Vita, but still, it'll be nice to have it on your Switch where you can switch between... Actually, wait, your saves could be transferred between the PS3 and the PS... Point is, it's still a really nice feature. It's really, really nice. And what's already out is Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition HD is out on both Switch and PS4. And I am the most curious about this. Because it is actually, like, a low polycount remake of Final Fantasy 15 that was made for, like, Android and iPhone, and now they've backported it to consoles, and it's like the same dramatic music and the same dramatic cutscenes, but with these goofy-looking chibi characters that have, like, no facial expressions, and they're telling this big dramatic story, and I'm like, I wonder how that plays. I wonder if it's any good, because it looks like it might be kind of fun. So, that's already out on Switch, so, Switch is catching up on its Final Fantasies. Honestly, you know, I wouldn't mind buying Final Fantasy 1 again on my Switch. I'm just saying. They should really get on that. That would be so easy. They should get on that. Moving on. They also announced that they will be releasing NES and Famicom in Japan controllers for your Switch that clip into the sides and can be charged. They'll come in a 2-pack, so you have a left controller and a right controller, designed, of course, for the new NES online library thing for their online service, which we will get into. As well as a port of Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, but this new one is called Everybody, which it's a port of the Wii game, apparently. And this one will allow 2-player simultaneous co-op play and lets you, like, tame all the monsters. I played very little of the Switch one, but I remember it being very good. If you like Mystery Dungeon roguelike type of games. And also, for Switch, Katamari Damacy Reroll, which is a remake of the first Katamari Damacy, considered by many to still be the best Katamari Damacy, but for your Switch. So that's nice. And then, of course, they ended the Direct by blowing our minds by announcing, of all characters, Isabelle from Animal Crossing New Leaf for Super Smash Bros. Of all characters, and she's not an Echo Fighter or Villager. That's the most mind-blowing thing. Isabelle actually has her own moveset of all the characters to be new characters. Isabelle. I am only going to assume that she is insanely popular in Japan. She must be. Because, as I mentioned, we've been getting a lot of very American picks. Ridley and K. Rool. I hear some rumors that K. Rool is popular in Japan, but I don't know. But Ridley and K. Rool, those are big American picks. That is Nintendo listening to the American fan base to the point where Japanese fans have actually nicknamed Ridley Captain America because he's such an American choice. Like, no one in Japan cares about Ridley. And I've been looking at that and I've been saying, we gotta get, like, a big Japanese pull next. You gotta get one that no one in America cares about, but Japan really likes. And maybe that's Isabelle. I know she actually has a solid American fan base, but it's a very weird pick. But at the same time, I've kind of been expecting something like this. Either way, though, Isabelle's in Smash, and she's not an Echo Fighter or Villager. And at the end of that, they announced that, yes, we are getting a new Animal Crossing for Switch. That is happening. Which, I mean, of course we are. And that's good. Also, speaking of Smash news, you know what Nintendo didn't announce? But apparently got announced by a Japanese video game magazine? It looks like we might have 5 more stages for Smash. Yeah, Japanese video game magazine posted a thing mentioning that the new Smash Brothers, Smash Ultimate, is going to have 108 stages. And everyone's like, whoa, wait a second. New Smash Bros. Has 100 stages, not counting Battlefield Final Destination and like one other very basic stage. It only has 103 stages. Where did these 5 new stages come from? And people are like shuffling around and making mock-ups. They're like, it all checks out. It all checks out. You could, if you added 5 more stages and then a DLC button, it would fit perfectly into the menu. Could there be 5 more stages for Smash? Egad! Super Smash Bros. Ultimate may well be the single most content-packed video game ever conceived. This is blowing my mind. So, yeah, looks like Smash Ultimate might have 108 stages. I can only assume Sakurai was sitting there and watching the videos where people are like, well, here's the stages that aren't making it in Smash. Oh. And looking at that and going, I could do it. Don't mock me. I could put them in there. I was just leaving them out because I thought no one could. I will put them in. Yeah, I'm putting them in. Sakurai is apparently an obsessive perfectionist, so I could see that happening. And yes, despite that fact, Bayonetta happened. Just accidents happen. He's fixing it, okay? He's fixing it. As soon as he saw what the Bayonetta problem was back at E3, he got on a plane and went back to Japan and said, okay, I have made a mistake. We are fixing this. Unfortunately, despite all these wonderful announcements, which caught us off guard, saw more Daemon X Machina, which continues to make me angry that no one knows they're giant robots. It's Armored Core. It's Armored Core. It's Armored Core. Quit saying it's anything else. It's Armored Core. It is so Armored Core. Anyway, aside from all these wonderful announcements, though, Nintendo revealed their online service plans, which go into effect soon. And they suck. They suck hard. On the plus side, it's the cheapest online service. On the minus side, we shouldn't be paying for such crappy service. And we will discuss how terrible the Nintendo Switch's online service is after the break. But right now, we do indeed need to take a break. So here is Happy by Colony here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. Thank you so much for listening, and please stay tuned for more Game. That was Leave It Smokin' by Tamia F. Whale here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. I'm your host, Jell, and welcome back to GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show, which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. However, we have been hunting a gremlin here at the KCFV studios, or at least I have, because for some reason, when we are doing the show and I am recording my audio after the break, I tend to get cut off at 1 o'clock. I don't want to know how many episodes in the archive have this issue. And as such, if you listen to my most recent episodes, when I get cut off at 1 o'clock, I have to switch to a lower quality backup feed, which is less than pleasant to listen to, and takes a little bit more editing work on my part. So it'd be really nice if we could figure out what the heck is going on down here at the studio. So I am going to try my best to keep talking and not get into anything too important until after. Oh, I think I might have just been cut off. We will find out shortly. It's hard to say. I'm trying to follow this. Trying to tell when it's cutting me off, when things are going awry, what is going awry. So yeah, once I feel that we've reached that point, I will take a quick break and come back in the hopes that perhaps I can continue the show and not get cut off. It'd be nice. So continuing to play the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, that's the actual name of it. And yeah, I am definitely noticing they're pretty minor, but there are definite resolution issues here. The games are not displaying right on my Switch screen, It's not terrible, except for Knights of the Round. Knights of the Round gets wrecked pretty badly. But Armored Warriors, I can barely tell the difference on. So I'm watching this pretty closely. And I'm currently looking up what the resolutions are. Did these games all run at different resolutions? Because I'm going to be honest, Knights of the Round looks pretty wide. Let's see. 384 by 224. That's 384 by 224 screenshot. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going wrong here. Where did Capcom screw up? Knights of the Round is easily the most bad-looking game on here, and that's because that game, actually, look at this screenshot, it used a lot of dithering. Dithering, of course, is where you use, like, a grid pattern of two different colors to try to make a mid-tone. So, like, you've got some light brown and some dark brown, and then in between the light and dark brown, you have this sort of grid of light and dark brown. That's dithering. Using little spots of one color over another color to give the illusion of a mid-tone. It's, of course, used when you're using, a limited color palette. Do we have any clue what the color palette is? Cripes. 4,906 colors is not exactly what I would call a limited color palette. But having said that, I'm sure it can only display probably 256. So yeah, I'm trying to solve this mystery, crack this case. Looks like I haven't technically been cut off yet, maybe? It's hard to say. I'm watching these numbers diligently to see if I can figure out where the problem is. But like I'm saying, I am noticing some issues here. And one of the problems is with the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle is it offers literally no display options. No scanline option, no resizing option, no full screen or windowed option. You can turn borders on and off, and that's about it. So something is definitely awry here, and I'm hoping Capcom can get it patched, especially before the December release of the Japanese physical version. I'm wondering if this is why it's released like this. Release it digitally to America, let us be the guinea pigs to find all the bugs, and then do the physical release for Japan once they've patched out all the bugs. Clever. Little bit of a dick move, but clever. I see what you're doing there. But having said that, it's also very interesting because, like, this Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle was announced during the Nintendo Direct last week. I didn't even have a chance to do a show between when the Beat 'em Up bundle was announced and when it was released. This just came out of nowhere. And I am pretty excited to try it online, because checking the credits, the online is in fact GGPO. GGPO is credited as the online for this. For anyone unfamiliar, GGPO, or Good Game Peace Out as it stands for, was a sort of fan-developed idea of rollback netcode used to allow you to play emulated games over the internet as smooth as possible. That was the idea behind it. By utilizing save states, they were hoping that maybe using save states, they were able to, like, rewind back to a previous state. Kind of. It's weird. I don't even comprehend how it works, because it involves time travel. I'm not even kidding. Like, apparently it, like, looks at all the possible inputs you could do and predicts what input it thinks you'll do, and then it sends the input it thinks you'll do to your opponent? It's so hard to describe. I don't know how to... I don't know. It's magic to me. Apparently it makes sense if you have it really spelled out. I've tried to comprehend GGPO netcode. The point is, some fans actually got together, they were fighting game fans, and they were so determined to have good online fighting games that they came up with this idea of rollback netcode, and it worked. GGPO, by utilizing save states, is able to provide some very smooth online play. But previously it was only like 2-playerable. So I'm curious to see how well this works online. Hopefully it supports 3 and 4 player. I know they've gotten that working now, I think. So either way, I can't wait to try this online. The netcode should be good. The display hiccups don't look too bad, at least not on the portable Switch screen, which may be the only place they exist in. But the fact that these hiccups exist at all is a problem that Capcom needs to patch. The resolution of the games is absolutely wrong. And that's a problem. That is definitely a problem. Have I been cut off yet? I feel like it would have cut me off by now. 'Cause it's usually what it likes to do. Yeah, so I am going to send you on another quick break, and then when we come back, we will continue talking, and we will discuss the Nintendo's online service and the many concerns we have about it. But until then, here is Jumpsuit by 21 Pilots here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. Thank you so much for listening. And actually, when we get back, because we won't have a whole lot of time before I have to take another break, we'll discuss the Capcom Beat 'em Up collection more. And then after another break at around 1:30, we'll talk about the Nintendo Switch Online. Anyway, here's Jumpsuit by 21 Pilots here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. Thank you so much for listening. That was Pull Up and Wreck by Big Sean and Metro Boomin featuring 21 Sav here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. I'm your host, Jell. Welcome back to GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show, which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. As I said, we are desperately trying to catch ourselves a gremlin here in the KCFV studios that keeps cutting off my recordings shortly after 1, although maybe that's been fixed, judging by what I've seen. Either way, I promised that throughout the show I would be checking out the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle and discussing my research on that. So you're probably saying, why am I so obsessed with this Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle? Well, the answer is because it is a collection of 5 different classic Capcom arcade beat 'em ups. You have Final Fight, King of Dragons, Knights of the Round, Warriors of Fate, Armored Warriors, and Battle Circuit. All of these are the arcade versions. They are available on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC with online play and offline play. Like I said, it's the arcade version, so that means you can play 3-player in King of Dragons and Knights of the Round. I bring this up because I know so many people who played King of Dragons back on Super Nintendo and loved it, and the idea of 3-player King of Dragons is utterly mind-blowing to them. And the idea of portable King of Dragons, also very appealing. Although, if you ask me, the game you should be most excited about is a game called Battle Circuit. Battle Circuit was never... Not only did Armored Warriors and Battle Circuit never receive a home port until now, but Battle Circuit wasn't even released in American arcades. It was released in European arcades, but not in America, and it is one of Capcom's last and best beat-em-ups. It is a very goofy-toned 4-player simultaneous beat-em-up, where as you fight enemies, they drop coins that you can spend to upgrade abilities, kinda, sorta River City Ransom style, but not really, and it has an utterly wacky cast of characters. Your playable characters are your typical hot-blooded hero, a stretchy Captain Fantastic kinda guy, or Mr. Fantastic, sorry, you know what, little bit of both, a green living plant monster, a mercenary pink ostrich with an eye patch that has a little girl riding on it. The ostrich is the mercenary. The girl's just along for the ride. And of course, a furry fashion model with a pet Eevee. This is your cast of characters. Your first opponent is a guy with a giant brain and a pet slime in a UFO and his crew of goofy lizard warriors in a spaceship where they use toilets for seats. After that, you go to a space disco. It is a very crazy game. It has a bit more of a moveset for each character than most beat-em-ups usually do, and it is very nice. Unfortunately, the Capcom beat-em-up bundle, it is handled in-house by Capcom, and they've generally done a pretty okay job with it. But it is, it has some issues. On the plus side, it has a big, meaty art gallery full of design documents and promotional artwork for all the games, which is fantastic to browse through. Lots of good stuff in there. You do have the option to switch between English and Japanese versions, so if you're playing the game and you're like, oh man, but the English version was slightly censored, then don't worry, you can switch to the Japanese version and play that one. And you can play it online with GGPO netcode, offline, 4-player simultaneous on your Switch, on the go. Very nice thing, and the price is delightfully low. Unfortunately, there are absolutely zero display options that I can find. So there's no way to, stretch the image to fill the full screen. Nor is there a way to shrink the image to the exact 1-to-1 pixel ratio, which is a problem because they did screw up the resolution. Some games look fine, like Armored Warriors, while others, like Battle Circuit and Knights of the Round, look very off. See, the image is stretched in such a way that some pixels are twice as tall or twice as wide as they're supposed to be, and it makes the game look off. Now, it's not as bad as the D&D Shadow over Mystara port back on 360 and PS3, which really botched the resolution, looked absolutely hideous, and, people excuse it as, oh, it's an old game, of course it looks pixelated, but it looked more pixelated than the original release. The pixels were the wrong size. Every other pixel was a different size. That was a huge problem when your game is so low resolution. When the pixels are all the wrong size, it really looks ugly. And the worst part of the 360 game is it actually let you stretch and shrink the image, but no matter what you did, it always kept the wrong resolution. There was no way to fix the resolution issue. I'm hoping Capcom will patch the resolution issues, and maybe it's just because I'm playing it on Switch on the small screen. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it'll be better when I pop it in my actual home console. The actual dock. But otherwise, does have some issues. Even still, for the price tag and considering the games you get, it's a very, very good bundle. And I know some people are going to be like, well, you can just play all those better in MAME or Fightcade and all that. And it's like, yeah, but one of the things I always preach is if they release these games on a home system at a reasonable price, I will actually buy it. I admit, I have been illegally playing Battle Circuit for years. But now, Capcom has actually finally released it on a system for a reasonable price. Actually, this is the first time it's been available to consumers. And I bought it day one, because Battle Circuit is a good game that I am more than willing to pay money for. And I did. Anyway, time for us to take a quick break. We'll be right back to discuss how Nintendo's online service is complete garbage. But until then, here's Pillow Talk by Zane, here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. Thank you so much for listening. That was Screws by Dreamers, here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. I'm your host, Jell, and welcome back to GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show, which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. But if you ever miss an episode, don't worry. You can just search up GameBabble Live Archive on YouTube, and you will find over 60 episodes of me babbling about games, including our newest episodes, which I try to get up within a few days of me actually doing them. Just a little bit more about the Capcom beat-em-up bundle. I'm sorry, this is important to me. Capcom has a legacy of classic beat-em-ups. Battle Circuit is a particularly fantastic game, and Armored Warriors is good too. You ever hear of the game Cyberbots? Armored Warriors is the game that came before it, and it is a beat-em-up using the exact same mechs. So you can pilot the Blaudia and the Reptos and the 40, and as you beat up enemies, you can tear off the arms of enemy robots and strap them to your robots. So it's kind of amazing, and you can play that 3 players simultaneous as well. Also in the bundle, one of the better looking ones. So, 2 things. Number 1, I figured that the problem with the games was probably that one game had a certain resolution, and then all the other games were being adjusted to it. But no. Interestingly enough, every single game in this bundle, unless I missed one, has a resolution of 384 by 224 pixels. So they're all warped. It's just a matter of how much dithering is used and the sprite size. Battle Circuit uses really small sprites compared to other beat-em-ups. And as such, it looks really bad with the screwed up resolution. And speaking of the screwed up resolution, this might be the reason for this. I mentioned that the game is released on Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC. However, Capcom just announced that the PC release has been delayed. They have not said what day the PC release is delayed until, but it is delayed for the PC release. I'm wondering if that might have something to do with them utterly botching the resolution like this. And I'm wondering what Capcom intends to do about this. Anyway, speaking of things being botched, let's talk about Nintendo's online service. Which, dang it, I forgot to look that up. When does that start? I think it's in a couple of days. Nintendo Online Service. Launches September 18th. Okay, good. It starts today. Wonderful. So, as of today, the online on your Switch sucks. I'm sorry. Let me explain. Basically, during the Nintendo Direct, Nintendo revealed their new online service. The good news is that it is the cheapest of all the different online services currently available. The bad news is that it is also the crappiest, and a lot of people say you get what you pay for, but you shouldn't be paying for this. Nintendo's presentation for it was borderline insulting, because they show up to show off their online service. It's like, let me tell you the great things you can do with your Nintendo Switch online service. You can play games online. Oh, you mean like we could a couple days earlier when you first revealed this, only now you're going to force us to pay for it? Thanks. It's peer-to-peer connection, so you really shouldn't be paying for it on any console, but unfortunately, because every other console makes you pay for your online, you have to pay for your online on the Switch too. Pointlessly. Because they've been able to offer this service for free for the past year, and are only now charging for it because it took them so long to emulate NES games? Get to that in a minute. They also mentioned that you can voice chat with people the way you can right now, using a cell phone. This may well be the single most insulting thing Nintendo is doing with their online service. There is no voice chat. Even though there was voice chat on the DS, 3DS, Wii, and Wii U, the Switch has no actual voice chat, which they were like, oh no, people are going to complain that there's no voice chat the way they complained about the lack of voice chat in Splatoon. So what we're going to do is we're going to release a cell phone app allowing you to voice chat with people using an app on your cell phone. Yeah, I could do that without that app. It's called calling people on your cell phone. Nintendo. And apparently it works worse than calling people on your cell phone. People have mentioned that the Nintendo Switch chat service is complete garbage, and a friend of mine pointed out it's actually a very clever ruse. You see, if you make an online service and you say, oh, we just don't have voice chat, it makes you look bad. People rallied against Nintendo for their lack of voice chat in Splatoon back on Wii U. So Nintendo's like, well, crap. We don't want people to voice chat with one another. We don't want to be responsible for that. Because Nintendo has this reputation of being a family-friendly company. And of course, there's creepy people out there. If you let people voice chat, kids might hear swear words or be hit on by pedophiles. That's a problem. Nintendo doesn't... And that's the thing, is Nintendo will take the heat for this. Way back with the DS, do you remember the DS's Picto Chat? If you don't remember, the Nintendo DS, when you turn it on with no cartridge inside, you can click this thing called Picto Chat, and you can draw images and talk to people in a little chat room that only connects with people about, like, a maximum of 200 feet away tops, probably significantly less. It was just a little local picture drawing chat room on your DS. Some news station, I think it was Fox News somewhere, actually ran a story about how pedophiles could use their DSs and PictoChat to find your kid, which is the most BS thing ever. But Nintendo is afraid of this. They don't want this bad press because they have this reputation of being family friendly. So it's like, how do we provide voice chat without providing voice chat? I know. We'll use an incredibly convoluted, stupid, and dysfunctional service so that way we can claim that we're offering voice chat, but the voice chat is so garbage and convoluted and hard to use that no one will actually use it, and literally everyone just calls their friends on Skype and Discord because the Nintendo voice chat sucks. But it's a feature of your paid online subscription. But the biggest screw up, actually no, before we get to the screw up, Nintendo is doing one good thing. By paying for your Nintendo Switch online subscription, you gain access to a handful of NES games, which you can play both offline locally with friends or online over the internet. That's actually pretty great. And thankfully, they were somewhat smart about this. When you get these free with your subscription NES games, you can play them without being connected to the internet for 5 days. Now you're going to go, well, why can't I play them longer than that? Well, because it's part of your subscription. You don't get to keep the games forever. They're not real downloads. It's part of sort of a NES Netflix service that Nintendo's doing. And admittedly, that one's actually kind of cool. I like the fact that they do let you play for 5 days offline. And then, basically you just have to connect to the internet and that will reset your time that you can play these games offline. So if you're going on a trip, you don't instantly lose access to all your NES games while you're in the car. They did, for once, understand one thing, but it is only NES games. I don't know how the online is, because of course I didn't even realize the service started today. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place on this service, because I want to boycott it, but at the same time, I use my Nintendo Switch online at least a good bit, so I kind of can't. But I don't like the fact that Nintendo is making me pay for the online service, but I pay for the online service on all the other... It's stupid. It's really, really stupid, okay? But this is where we get to the big ball drop. This is like Sony grade ball dropping, except Sony somehow didn't screw this one up. Nor did Microsoft exactly. So Nintendo. So, did you know there's no way to back up your save data on your Nintendo Switch? That's right, you can put an SD card in there, but you can't move your save data to it. Your save data is locked to your Switch system. So if your system breaks, you lose all your saves in every game on Switch. That's pretty darn bad, and people have been complaining about this, saying, we need a backup option. Nintendo, give us a backup option. Any kind of backup option. Which, let me tell you, when they say any kind of backup option, you can make some pretty wonderfully draconian backup things. You could make it, like, if you were smart, you would just make it where it backs up your entire hard drive in a single file, and that's it. Like, you don't get to pick and choose. It's just, oh, your system broke, you can reload from the last backup you made. That would be a smart way to do it. Unfortunately, Nintendo, does not allow that service. Instead, what they have decided to do is, if you have a Nintendo Switch online subscription, you could back up your saves to the cloud. And then when your system breaks, you can re-download them from the cloud. Okay, sounds great. Few problems. Number one, if your subscription runs out, all your saves are deleted. They're gone. This is astonishing because Sony gives you a 6-month grace period, and Microsoft doesn't delete your saves at all. I have been we'll talk about this later, but I have been unsubscribed from Xbox Live Gold for, like, 3 or 4 years. I just resubscribed because of some backwards compatibility BS we'll talk about later. And they still had my cloud saves from the 360. Even though I haven't turned on my Xbox One in probably a year until Rumble Roses Double X was added to the backwards compatibility list. They wouldn't, they didn't delete my saves. They were still there. And in fact, on Xbox One, because cloud saves are so important to the Xbox One, you don't even need a subscription for that. You can do it for free on Xbox Live Silver, and Microsoft doesn't delete your saves. But Nintendo, if your subscription runs out, your saves get deleted, and that's not even the dumbest part. Oh no, my good compatriots. The dumbest part is that certain games are not compatible with cloud saving. There are certain games they don't let you cloud save on, including Splatoon 2 and the not even released Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Why? They're afraid of cheating. Which is weird, because believe it or not, with the Xbox One's backwards compatibility, they don't let you save your games to the hard drive. They only let you save to your cloud to prevent cheating, but Nintendo doesn't let you save to the cloud to prevent cheating. Does anyone know what's going on here? But this is what makes it so stupid. The reasoning behind that is that then you could, like, if you screw up, you could load your old save, the way you could save scum, basically. Problem is, this is going to blow your mind. See, the Splatoon leaderboards have been hacked for months. People have been begging Nintendo to do something about it, but they can't. And the reason why, and you're not even going to believe this is the dumbest thing. Nintendo stores your leaderboard ranking data locally offline in your save file. So, if you were to hack your Nintendo Switch, go into your Splatoon save, and change your leaderboard ranking, then log back online, it would change your leaderboard ranking. Why is that a thing? That should be the easiest thing to catch. You can't be on the leaderboard and change your leaderboard rankings unless you're connected to the internet. So if someone connects to the internet and their save file leaderboard is different from your online leaderboard, they're a cheater and you can catch them, but somehow Nintendo can't catch them because somehow they decided to save your leaderboard rankings offline, and thus they cannot let you use cloud storage because if they did, you would be able to use the cloud to reload a game. So if your ranking dropped, you just reload your save and your ranking goes back up, allowing you to cheat. But people are already cheating, and people are already backing up their save data by hacking their Switches, which actually creates a whole new problem. Wait a second, if I hack my Switch, I can back up my save data, unlike if I don't hack my Switch, where I can't back up my save data. But by hacking your Switch, you could get banned from Nintendo's online service. So the only way to back up your save data is to not use the Nintendo online service to back up your save data and get There is a level of stupid here that I cannot comprehend. And although people like, oh, that's Nintendo being weird again. No. Nintendo, this is an embarrassment. You are holding our games for ransom behind a paywall, forcing us to pay this to play. And people will say, oh, well, people are being ungrateful. Screw you. Nintendo needs to provide a better service. Unfortunately, to get any service, we have to pay, but this should absolutely be complained about. It should be complained about loudly. Nintendo should be roundly mocked and reviled for providing such a garbage online service and expecting us to pay for it. It is an embarrassment, and I hope that every single person on the planet gives Nintendo crap for this so they can fix it. This should not be an issue. It's a portable system. We should be able to back up our data. It's basic things. You can do it on literally every other Nintendo system except the Switch. How do you screw this up? The Switch may well be the most frustrating system Nintendo has ever released because it is brilliant, it is beautiful, it is a fantastic concept, but the problems with it are so mind-blowing and jaw-dropping in their scope and scale that I can't even comprehend it. You have a docking station that has a bad tendency to scratch your screen, which is also ludicrously overpriced. The controllers are ridiculously expensive. You can't charge your Switch and also have it being in the standing displaying screen position without buying a third-party docking station, which costs less than the Nintendo docking station that I have no clue why it costs so much money. Nintendo really needs to get their act together. But right now we have to take a break. So, oh no. So, let's see here. Cripes and criminy. Yeah, we are going to take a break. Here is Rumors by Rehab featuring Sophia Carson here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with more game screaming live. Please enjoy the music, and thank you. That was Simplify by Young the Giant here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. I'm your host, Jell. And this is GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. So, before the break, screaming about Nintendo's incompetent online service and the fact that that backing up saves on the Switch is a complete joke. And, yeah, I'm pretty salty about that. Because it is jaw-droppingly pathetic. But, because yes, you, not only do you need an online subscription to keep backups of your saves, the backups of your saves, will be deleted if your subscription ever runs out, and, yeah, certain games like Splatoon 2, you can't back up your data at all. The one positive thing about this is the Nintendo NES game online service thing, where basically by subscribing to Nintendo's online service, you get access to a variety of different NES games over the internet. And I do have a list of launch titles, which are Soccer, Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda Ghosts and Goblins, Excitebike, Tennis, Balloon Fight, Super Mario Bros. 3, Tecmo Bowl, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Ice Climber, Double Dragon, Gradius, Ice Hockey, Mario Bros., Dr. Mario, River City Ransom, Pro Wrestling, and Baseball. In October, we will be getting Solomon's Key, NES Open Golf Tournament, Super Dodgeball. In November, Metroid, Mighty Bomb Jack, and Twinbee. And in December, Wario's Woods, Ninja Gaiden, and The Adventures of Lolo. So that's nice and all, but at the same time, that's the best you can offer with your stupid online service that is a joke. Nintendo needs to do something about their save game backup. Like, that isn't, like, a thing we can sleep on. Nintendo needs to have a fire lit under them about how terrible their save data backup is. They need to be harangued about this, because I know they're going to dodge it. I know they're going to try to evade the problem, but Nintendo should be absolutely roundly bashed for the fact that there's no good way to back up your save data. The fact that their cloud service is a joke, and the fact that you require a cloud service to back up said save data. Now, while we're talking about cloud services, I mentioned resubscribing to Xbox Live Gold against my will. So last week, I announced that Rumble Rose's Double X, of all freaking games, has been added to the Xbox One backwards compatibility list. Anyone who knows me knows that I happen to be a bit of a fan of Rumble Roses, and might have put about 260 hours into Rumble Rose's Double X. It is perhaps my most played Xbox 360 game, even though the PS2 game is actually the superior game. So finding out, hey, it's here on Xbox One, I decided to dust off the Xbox One, get it hooked up, and I was like, alright, I'm gonna transfer my save data from my 360 to my Xbox One. How do I do that? Well, in order to do that, you need to do it through the cloud. There's no way to do it physically. Okay, fine. Well, to use cloud service, you get cloud service free on Xbox One, but on 360 you still have to pay for gold. So unfortunately, I had to resubscribe to gold. There was no way to upload my cloud saves to the cloud off my 360 unless I paid for Xbox Live Gold. So I'm like, fine, I'll pay for it for a month. Let's get the save up there. Get the save onto the cloud. Well, that winds up being a debacle in and of itself, because Microsoft would not register that I had subscribed to Gold. I'm like, it's like, you have to subscribe to Gold to get this. Okay, fine, subscribe to Gold, boom, let's go. And then every time it's like, no, you need to subscribe to Gold. I'm already subscribed. I tried over and over and over again, and eventually it would just, like, log me out randomly, and then I'd have to log back in, and oh, egad, both the 360 and Xbox One interfaces are slow as all heck. Eventually, I turned it off, turned it back on, finally registered that I had subscribed to Gold, get the save data transferred to the cloud, found out all my cloud saves are still there, move over to the Xbox One. Whoo, buddy. So I'm like, alright, you know what, I can't find my physical disc, I'll just download a digital copy of the game from the Microsoft Store. Maybe it'll tell Konami, hey, there are still Rumble Roses fans out there. We'd really like to play the game. So I go to the store to download a digital copy, and unfortunately, number one, it doesn't show up on the new releases, even though it actually had been out for a few days before that. It came out like on the 6th, and I was trying this on like the 12th. So I couldn't find the game for sale. I had to search for it, and it didn't show up immediately. When I searched Rumble, it showed all the Royal Rumble pay-per-views and crap. Like, it did not show Rumble Roses. I had to specifically type out info Rumble Roses and then hit the search button for it to show up. So fine, it shows up. And for some reason, instead of just giving me a price, it says click here to show price. Okay, click here. Reloads the page. Okay. Click here to show price. Reloads the page. Click here to show. I did this over and over and over again, and it would not show the price. It would not let me buy it on Xbox One. And so I'm like, well, crap. Turns out, I could buy it on Xbox 360 and then download it on Xbox One, or buy it through the website, so I just go on the Microsoft website. Unfortunately, this leads me to all sorts of rigmarole, because unfortunately my Xbox Live account is linked to an email that is less than stellar. And while doing all this, Microsoft decided to ask me for my full name, which I told them was Gel, because screw you, I'm not telling you my full name. It's a good thing I didn't, because for some stupid reason, the Xbox One won't stop doxing me. Like, no matter what, in the corner of the screen, I need to see if there's an option for this. Because in the corner of the screen, it's like, oh, here's your username and your gamer thing, and then it'll fade out and fade back in with your email address and real name. And I'm like, I don't want people to know my email address, especially not that one that's, like, hacked to all heck. I have that account linked to my Japanese PSN account, and unfortunately, I keep losing access to my Japanese PSN because of it. Oh, it keeps, like, getting hacked regularly, except they don't spend my money. All the money that I still have in my Japanese the PSN account hasn't moved. Good thing I've never linked a credit card to it. Can't, actually. But anyway. So it's like, okay, well, they're not stealing my money. They're just hacking poorly and claiming that my name is Laura. My name's not Laura. Okay. Either way, so Laura keeps hacking my account. So I have to go through all this rigmarole, and the Xbox One won't stop doxing me. And finally, I get the game downloading, and I'm like, wait, where's my DLC? Because I bought a lot of DLC for Rumble Rose's Double X. And I check, and I look all over the internet, and they're like, oh, the DLC gets ported over when you download the game, you can re-download all your DLC, except for some reason for this particular game, Microsoft hasn't done that. So all my DLC just isn't working because Microsoft forgot that the DLC existed, the hundreds upon hundreds of pieces of DLC for Rumble Rose's Double X. So fine, whatever. Finally get the game loading up, loading faster than ever, running smoother than ever. It's as nice as Rumble Rose's Double X is going to look. So yay. Finally getting a chance to play that. And then I'm like, okay, I'll load my data. Okay, how do I save my data? And it only lets me save to the cloud. And I'm like, how do I save to the hard drive? And Microsoft says, you can't save your Xbox 360 data to your hard drive because then it might be hacked and it would let you cheat. So you can only save your save data to the cloud. Again, I'd like to reiterate, Microsoft will only let you save 360 data to the cloud. You cannot play your 360, you cannot load your 360 saves when you're not connected to the internet, and you cannot save your games when you're not connected to the internet when playing an Xbox 360 game on your Xbox One in order to prevent cheating. Nintendo, meanwhile, will not let you back up certain online games to their cloud in order to prevent cheating. Why? Why is the cloud the stupidest thing ever? Whoever invented the cloud needs to be slapped. Because the cloud is stupid. I don't like the cloud. Everyone involved with the cloud is an idiot. Screw the cloud. And double screw all the people who are like, oh, instead of porting our game to a system, we'll let you play it through the cloud. Like what they did with the Switch version of PSO2. Okay, so I understand PSO2 not getting a US release. That's complete BS. But even the Japanese version, for some reason on Switch, you cannot play Phantasy Star Online 2 on your Switch. You have to play Phantasy Star Online 2 Cloud and connect to the cloud in order to play Phantasy Star Online 2 on your Switch, which inevitably induces lag. And it makes me say, why you can play Phantasy Star Online 2 on your Vita? It's a Vita game. Why can't you play it on your Switch? But we're just going to be lazy and run it on another computer. The problem with putting a game on the cloud means that eventually you take the game off the cloud and your game becomes nothing. At least PSO2 is like free to play, so I'm going to assume PSO2 Cloud is free to play, as it darn well better be. Because you shouldn't be paying money to play games on the cloud, to play a single game on the cloud. Really, you shouldn't be paying money to play games on the cloud, period, because the cloud sucks for playing games. Quit trying to stream games on the cloud. There will always be a visual downgrade due to the speed of your internet connection. There will always be lag. There will always be delays. Quit making laggy, unresponsive games as the excuse to put your games on the cloud in the first place. That doesn't work. I want my games tight and responsive like Ys Origins. I don't like the cloud. I think the cloud is crap. I'm heated today. I am so heated today. So, that was a thing. So hey, they just revealed Yugi for Jump Force. That is actually true though. So, dang it, Nintendo. Oh, there it is. Nintendo, when I was visiting Nintendo's website, they're like, oh, hey, would you like to take a survey? I'm like, I'd like to tell you your online service is garbage. I'm pretty satisfied with your website. I think your level of confidence in Nintendo. Ooh. 1. How likely are you to recommend Nintendo to someone else? 3. Return to Nintendo.com in the future. 3. Look and feel of Nintendo.com. It's pretty good. Page is actually loaded surprisingly fast. Ease of navigation, absolutely. I shouldn't just be talking about this. Okay, so, getting back on topic. I am winded after that rant. Have I mentioned I hate the cloud? But yes, okay, so Jump Force. For those of you not following it, Jump Force is another Shonen Jump crossover arena fighter, this time with realistic visuals and taking place in the real world. I believe the most infamous and interesting visual from it was Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece perched on the American flag in the middle of New York. That was weird. So, that is what defines Jump Force. We're going to be fighting Frieza in the middle of New York. Beautiful. And yeah, Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is revealed to be in the game. He will be a playable character. I cannot wait. In fact, I'm going to be blunt. That pretty much sold me on the game. Because I've just been sitting here going, so when's Nami? Are you going to reveal Nami? Because that's the only character I care about. But Yugi! I did play Jump Ultimate Stars on the DS, and fighting in, like, a fighting game as Yugi is great. So I look forward to throwing dungeon dice at people and laying trap cards. If you can't lay trap cards with Yugi, then someone screwed up. Either way, that is a beautiful thing. New version of World of Final Fantasy was also revealed as well. World of Final Fantasy being that weird, like, Final Fantasy Pokemon thing, except the main characters look more like Kingdom Hearts characters. Anyway, one of the big beefs with that game is that they have all these, like, Funko Pop-looking versions of classic Final Fantasy heroes, but you can't collect or play as them. They're just summons. Well, the new version, World of Final Fantasy Maxima, will let you transform our heroes into Funko Pop versions of protagonists from previous Final Fantasy games. Finally. This version will be released on Nintendo Switch, but also you will be able to upgrade your current copy of the game to the Maxima version through some paid DLC. Thank goodness. You know, rather than having to rebuy the whole game, you can just buy the expansion DLC. That's a good call. Moving on. Capcom has revealed 3 more Darkstalkers costumes for Street Fighter V, including a Felicia costume for Manat, so Manat has 2 Darkstalkers costumes. That's interesting. That's very interesting indeed. Meanwhile, I continue to have absolutely no faith in Dead or Alive 6. The newest trailer certainly makes the game look promising with its dinosaur stage and showing off Ayane and, Honoka and Marie Rose. It's good to see these characters are here. New trailer makes the game look nice, but they've already said there's going to be no tag mode. They've already said all the characters won't be there. They've already said that Nyo Tengu and Phase 4 will be DLC. Nyo Tengu is a pre-order bonus, while Phase 4 is a thing packed with the special edition. They've also revealed there will be 10 tons of DLC costumes. Once again, we're just starting from scratch, so you don't get to carry over your 10,000 DLC costumes from DOA 5 as far as we know. The collector's edition will come with 25 costumes as part of the special edition, which gives us a hint. There may well be 25 characters in the game, meaning that it's looking, I think there are about 30 characters? Not counting the Virtua Fighter and characters in Mai. So it's sounding like 5 characters are getting cut from the game. I think that's the total. I need to double check those totals, but still, it's sounding like 5 characters are getting cut. While they said, Nyo Tengu and Nyo Tengu and Phase 4 are DLCs, they likely wouldn't be counted in that number. We have to remember that they introduced one new character, Diego, and I'm hearing rumors they will introduce a new female character sometime soon, who will likely be a disappointment. They are going to have to hit this one out of the freaking park and then some, like reveal Pulamperna for the game, in order for me to be at all interested. Remember, once again, tag mode is getting cut from the game, and all of this information about how we're cutting characters due to time constraints is happening when the game is only 20% complete. DOA 6 is going to be a disaster. Please don't buy the vanilla version. Wait until Ultimate. And if they don't make an Ultimate version, good. You can stick with Dead or Alive 5, which will likely be a superior game anyway. Still salty about that. I need to calm down. I can feel my blood pressure rising this episode. I can feel that one. Ooh, not good. So, just taking taking a break. Zen. Please rate the ease of searching and sorting on Nintendo. I guess that's about, not too bad. About average. The clarity and thoroughness of information on Nintendo. 1, because I was looking to see if they would clarify their cloud storage thing, and they didn't on the American website. Primary reason for visiting the site today. Research latest products. Sounds about right. Products we're visiting the site for today. I guess hardware. Switch. I own a Switch. No. Why would I buy from Nintendo.com? Was your visit to the site today successful? No. Now I have to actually type things. But yes, okay, so, calming down. Ooh! Here's a wonderful piece of good news for you, though. The creators of Custom Robo are making a new competitive 3D robot shooter called Synaptic Drive. We know nothing else other than it's competitive. And speaking of competitive, Puyo Esports has been revealed. Be out on a bunch of things. It'll have characters in it. We know it will have Puyo Puyo 2 rules and Puyo Puyo Fever rules, which really raises questions, because why would you ever play Puyo Puyo Fever competitively? Because Fever is garbage, is a garbage mode, is a garbage game. You shouldn't play Puyo Puyo Fever. I stand by this statement. Screw Fever. Screw Fever so hard. Play real Puyo. Play 2. Play Sun. Play literally anything except Fever, although I admit Puyo Puyo 4 is a bit broken. And some people have said, should Puyo Puyo really be an esport? Son, Puyo Puyo's been an esport since 1997. Look up Puyo Puyo Tournament on YouTube. There's a video of a tournament in Japan from 1997. It is amazing. Huh? ARMS is getting a mysterious update tomorrow? ARMS is getting itself updated 4 months after the last update. Version 5.4 was revealed today. A new character may be coming to the game. Dr. Coyle has been busy inside the ARMS lab. So much for that last update, huh? That makes me very happy. And this probably surprises people, because I know here in America people go, ARMS? Do people still care about ARMS? Well, number one, there's apparently like a specific St. Louis competitive ARMS scene. But more than that, and I find this very interesting, in Japan, ARMS is actually quite successful. There are regular ARMS tournaments, and Mr. Yamabuki, the guy who created ARMS and is the freaking Zen master of ARMS, actually shows up to commentate sometimes on the regular ARMS tournaments. So, while this game should have faded into obscurity if we were to go by the US releases, in Japan, ARMS is apparently still going strong. And I guess there's a bigger ARMS community than you know, and now there's a new update set to start this week, so one of the elements likely involve Nintendo's new service. Interesting. Yeah, same day we get paid online, we need something cool to soften the blow. Boy, do we. Oh yeah, Killer 7's being re-released. What's going on here? It's being re-released on PC. Nice. I was hoping it'd be re-released on other things, but still, that's good. Anyway, I'm going to take a much-needed break. So I'm going to kick you back to the music. Here is Monster at the End by Anthrax, here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. Thank you so much for listening. And when we get back, we will talk a little bit about Soul Calibur 6 before wrapping up the show. Thanks again for listening, and please stay tuned for at least a little bit more GameBabble Live. Until... That was Good Time by Charlie Wilson, here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind. I'm your host, Jell, and welcome back to GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show, which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. Now let me just say, feels a little good. Feels a little good to send angry letters to Nintendo. They asked me for an online survey, and I wrote I couldn't find any information on the U.S. site about the limitations of the Nintendo Switch cloud service. I complained about that and said, by the way, your online service is a joke that I shouldn't be paying for, and Nintendo should be ashamed to even be offering it. Because they should. Now that we have that out of the way, check that out. Dark Eclipse is launching for PlayStation VR September 25th, and I care about this for the most petty and stupid of reasons. Ooh, 15 characters, that's good. So Dark Eclipse is a MOBA game, like League of Legends, but played in VR for the PlayStation VR. So, that's all very interesting and all, but what makes it really peculiar, let's read some of these things. It's free to play, nice. Competitive online MOBA in VR, blends elements of MOBAs and RTS games. Matches last anywhere between 10 and 30 minutes, easy to learn control scheme, mastered for VR that allows players to drag and drop characters anywhere on the field for in-depth and moment-to-moment strategizing. Having already played a strategy game in VR, I can safely say it is very nice. It is wonderful being able to look over this battlefield with all these characters attacking one another and being able to reach out and grab things and move things. It feels very nice. Engage in a draft phase to pick between a team of 3 leaders from a roster of 15 characters, including heroes and hellish creatures called Dominators. Oh, good. More VR games with Dominators in them. Expanded MOBA tower management with 5 different types of towers, each with different buffs, abilities, and attacks. Multiple game modes, including solo play against computers, as well as player versus player matchups, either casual or competitive ranked mode. Playable using either one DualShock 4 or PlayStation Move controllers. Very nice. The thing that has me intrigued about this, though, is who the heck is making it? Who's making Dark Eclipse? Sunsoft. Freaking Sunsoft. We haven't heard from them in a good while. Well, I guess we've kind of heard from them with Blaster Master blasting, or not blasting again. Blaster Master Overdrive Zero. What was it called? The new Blaster Master. We heard from them on that one. But this is all intriguing because, yeah, we don't usually hear out of from the fine folks at Sunsoft. We haven't heard from them in a while. And here they are making a VR MOBA game. And this matters to me because I'm a Sunsoft fan, because I love Waku Waku 7. And Sunsoft is the company that made that. Obviously, Dark Eclipse does not look at all like Waku Waku 7, but they should fix that. They should release Bonus Kun and Arena and Rumi and Yakopu, and they should put them all in Dark Eclipse. I don't care if it doesn't make any sense. Just do it. Just do it. So I'm currently looking up Dark Eclipse, and apparently its tagline is, "This is for the MOBA players." Pretty sure the MOBA players are busy playing League of Legends and Dota 2. But whatever. Actually, speaking of interesting things with online, apparently, remember Columns? Old Sega arcade game? Apparently there was a Columns 2. It's getting ported to Switch. They're going to add online play as part of the many great Sega Ages releases coming. Anyway, let's get to the final topic of the show, and this is something very intriguing. I almost meant to talk about it earlier in the show. The Soul Calibur 6 director is on suicide watch. I don't mean that as a joke. I mean, he needs a hug really badly, among other things. See, the Soul Calibur 6 director actually tweeted, and he deleted these tweets, but he tweeted about how terrible his job is, about the 4 a.m. meetings, about how he feels underappreciated, and how, like, he doesn't even want to come home to his wife. He doesn't even care anymore. He barely gets to anyway. What's even the point? And I'm like, this poor guy. I have had a lot of misgivings about Soul Calibur 6. I do think that in some ways it might wind up being less of a game than Soul Calibur 4, but at least it'll be more of a game than Soul Calibur 5. I do plan on picking it up. I get Custom Lizardmen as a custom character story mode. It looks like it'll be a fun game, even if it does wind up being less than Soul Calibur 4. Though with the revealing of these new modes, it might actually be more than Soul Calibur 4. It'd actually be a worthwhile Soul Calibur game. That would be wonderful. But, as much as I complain about Soul Calibur, much of the problem comes not from the poor director. I sympathize with this man. Because apparently, and many people have talked about this, inside of Namco, the Soul Calibur team kinda gets abused. When Soul Calibur 5 was in development, they only had a year of dev time, and the higher-ups kept pulling people off the project to work on different things and cut funding halfway through to fund an Idolmaster game. And then the game comes out, and people people didn't complain about it nearly enough. A lot of people gave Soul Calibur 5 a free pass. It sold surprisingly well, despite the fact that it was inferior to Soul Calibur 4 in pretty much every way. It was practically a joke of a release. People still loved it. It did well. And yet they still wanted to put it on the back burner. This is the thing. Soul Calibur 4 was also supposed to be the last Soul Calibur. Namco keeps trying to kill Soul Calibur. And the director of the game has come out and said this might be the last one if this game doesn't sell. Does it really matter if the game sells? This is one of the most frustrating things. Namco has two of the biggest 3D fighting game franchises on the planet with Tekken and Soul Calibur. People love these games. People play these games. And they are distinct and different enough that there are people who don't like Tekken and like Soul Calibur. There are people who like There are people who don't like Soul Calibur and like Tekken. And there are people who like both. There is room on this planet for Namco to dominate with two different fantastic 3D fighting games. I'll be honest, not a Tekken fan here. Do like that Soul Calibur though. But they keep sabotaging it. And a friend of mine came up and pointed out, yeah, well, Soul Calibur does good, but it doesn't do Tekken numbers. Soul Calibur kind of fell off the boat back with Soul Calibur 3. Yeah, and whose fault do you think that is? Namco keeps rushing the game. Namco keeps cutting the dev time. Namco keeps, not advertising these things, not pushing these things, not giving Soul Calibur the love it needs. Cripes, Tekken 7 was completed and done and in arcades for 3 years before it came home, so that way they could further polish the game, and when it did finally come home, it was still kind of an incomplete package, and they're still updating and expanding the game. Tekken 7 gets all this love. Soul Calibur 6 is treated like a redheaded stepchild, and here's the thing. Soul Calibur is popular. Soul Calibur is successful. There has, with the exception of Soul Calibur 3, no, people even still like Soul Calibur 3. They had some beef with it, but not that bad. Not as much as I have beef with Soul Calibur 5. People love these games. People buy these games. They're successful. They sell well. And yet somehow Namco can't see that, and they keep trying to kill off the franchise. They keep treating the Soul Calibur team as their lesser studio. And I want to know who's responsible. Is this Harada's fault? Because screw Tekken. I like Soul Calibur. There's nothing else on the planet like Soul Calibur that gives that feeling of epic sword duels. There is no replacement for this game, and it's a fun game. I'm not even that into it, but it's just fun to piddle around with. It has, of all the Japanese fighting games out there, it has the best single-player content, consistently, with the exception of Soul Calibur 5, because screw that game. Even Soul Calibur 5 had some single-player content. The point is, it has a greater appeal to a casual fighting game audience. It has its own fandom. It has its own fans within the fighting game community. Soul Calibur should be a no-brainer for Namco. Unfortunately, Namco is a no-brainer when it comes to Soul Calibur. Because they just keep not giving the game the love it needs and holding it to unrealistic expectations, and then it meets those unrealistic expectations and it isn't good enough. So be prepared for Soul Calibur 6 to sell incredibly well and still get the series canceled because Namco doesn't want to make Soul Calibur. Namco doesn't want to have the Soul Calibur team on their payroll. And that's the problem. And that's why this poor guy is so depressed and possibly suicidal. Because he knows this. Because he's in charge of a fantastic franchise that does well, and he literally can't win with it. So I am rather peeved at Namco for this. And it's a shame. I love Namco as a company most of the time. They make a lot of great games. I love the way they constantly reference their past works. But, man, Namco, when it comes to Soul Calibur, I don't know what is wrong with these people. And it bothers me. It bothers me deeply. Because I like Soul Calibur, and every time one of the games gets screwed up, I'm like, was this really the fault of the team, or was this the fault of Namco not giving Soul Calibur the love it deserves because they're too busy focused on stupid Tekken? I don't even care about Tekken. Fine. It's a good fighting game. I don't like how it plays. I think it's stiff and awkward and weird. The only time I actually enjoyed Tekken was Tekken Tag Tournament, and it didn't have any of my favorite characters in it because they were all introduced after Tekken Tag Tournament, for the most part. I like Yoshimitsu, but I'm not good with him. Anyway, I really wish Namco would give Soul Calibur the attention it deserves. I look forward to Soul Calibur 6. I'm very excited to play it. Despite my misgivings, it's a fun series. And I'm sure I'll be disappointed by something in it. But I will be more disappointed, inevitably, by Namco themselves, Namco Bandai, and how they just won't capitalize on such a lucrative game. Someone needs to go over there and slap the whole lot of them. And I wish the director of Soul Calibur 6 the best of luck. I'm pulling for him. Anyway, I do believe that wraps up today's episode of GameBabble Live. I hope you have enjoyed. I'm hoping to do a stream either today or tomorrow, but every time I say that, the stream never winds up happening. Either way, whenever the stream finally does happen, it will wind up on the site. It will absolutely be up. You know, I shouldn't say that. Because I know I've got a bunch of friends who are picking up Capcom Beat 'em Up Collection. We're probably going to wind up streaming that. I don't know if it'll be on their channel. I don't know if it'll be on my channel, but we will likely play some Capcom Beat 'em Up Collection. But at some point in time very soon, we will be playing, I will have a VR stream because, oh my god, I didn't even talk about Unearthing Mars 2. Slight delay, because yes, aside from Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle, I picked up Trickster VR, which is supposed to be a procedurally generated VR dungeon crawler, aka the thing I've been waiting for. I have a little bit of beef with procedural generation, but if anything needs procedural generation, it's VR. Because, of course, one of the big complaints is that VR games are too short. They don't have enough content. And having an infinite variety of randomly generated dungeons for a dungeon crawler, that's a good call. More than that, a VR dungeon crawler is literally what I have wanted since before I even bought the PlayStation VR. There was actually an old arcade dungeon crawler called, like, Legend of the Sword, back in the flat-shaded 90s. I remember my mom played it. The VR headsets back then were actually too heavy for my neck to support. But I really wanted to play that game, and I keep hoping for something like that, and Trickster VR will hopefully provide a similar experience where I get to swing a sword at skeletons and goblins and orcs and things. Obviously Skyrim VR kind of provided that, but I don't want a big immersive adventure. I know that sounds weird, but I don't want that. I want to hit things with a sword. I want to take a sword, and I want to hit things with it while going through a dungeon, and hopefully Trickster VR will provide that. But on top of that, I picked up Unearthing Mars 2, which, number one, can we appreciate that name for a minute? Unearthing Mars. I mean, it's kind of funny that, okay, so Earth is another word for dirt. Digging up things is unearthing, right? But is dirt called Earth because our planet is Earth, or is there another reason? Like, should the dirt on Mars really be called Earth? Does Mars have Earth? That is the question you need to ask yourself. Should we be unmarsing Mars? This is something I've actually thought about, because the phrase unearthing Mars really sounds kind of stupid when you think about it. Unless, of course, you're talking about getting the Earth people off of Mars, then Mars is being unearthed in that sense. Anyway, you might recall in some of the earlier episodes of GameBabble Live, I talked about the original Unearthing Mars. It intrigued me because it was a Chinese-made VR game that was available in English on the Hong Kong store, but wasn't on the US store for a really long while, and I kept hemming and hawing about possibly picking it up. Eventually I did. It's not a good game. It's basically a walking simulator, except with teleport movement. Basically, the whole idea was, oh, it's an expedition to Mars. Oh, no, our ship broke down. We gotta fix the ship. And now we're exploring Mars. And then at the very end, oh, there's ancient giant robots. Shoot them with your laser. Huh? Anyway, Unearthing Mars 2 appears to be a rail shooter, where you wear a bio-armor suit and travel back in time to the ancient Martian war, and you shoot things. And it looks like Warframe mixed with, like, I don't know, Warframe meets House of the Dead? They're claiming it's a first-person shooter. It looks a lot more like a rail shooter. Thankfully, rail shooters are really fun in VR. Trailer makes it look really good. I've been very excited to play this game. I wanted to play it before the show to answer the question, is this a VR game? Is this a first-person shooter? Or is this a rail shooter? And thus far, I don't see any streams of it up yet. No one has posted gameplay footage of it to YouTube. Well, sounds like I've got a job to do today. I might just stream this, maybe you know what? I am going to try to get the VR stream up, like, within a few hours of the show. I really can't give you a time. I've got some things I need to do today, and of course I need to edit together this episode. But when I get home, I will see if I could be the first person to put Unearthing... Oh, wait. Never mind, there is footage of it. I should still get on that. There is one guy who has streamed it so far. And I'm trying to see, is this a rail shooter or... I don't... Well, what do you even call this? Okay, we do finally have gameplay footage. It is effectively a rail shooter, but this is the dumbest thing. This game looks fun, though. Thankfully, I don't think I wasted my money on this one, but okay. So, it is pretending to be a first-person shooter, but with teleport-based movement that is restricted to specific spots, so it's a rail shooter. It's a rail shooter. It is absolutely a rail shooter that thinks it's a first-person shooter. This is adorable. But, no, this looks really fun. I look forward to playing this when I get home. I think I heard this has PS Move, or PS Aim support? I think this has aim support. That might actually be really nice. I will absolutely give this a spin. I really hope I can get a stream up tonight, but I make absolutely no guarantees, because I've got some things I need to do today. Anyway, that about sums up the show. Oh, this looks adorable. I can't wait. I love Chinese VR games. They usually make me laugh. They are powerful indeed. This one lets you slow down time, too. Yeah, this looks like fun. Anyway, so let's wrap up the show. We will find out. I will let you know next week, or at the very least in a stream, how Unearthing Mars 2 turns out, along with Trickster VR and many other things. So many VR games. There are like 5 VR games today. I need to see what Transference is even all about. Because I know that one's by like some Hollywood movie star who wanted to make a VR game, I think. Might have been Elijah Wood. I forget. Anyway, we gotta wrap the show up. Thank you so much for joining me this week on GameBabble Live, your video game news and information show, which airs every Tuesday from noon to 3 p.m. We will be back next week Once again, Tuesday, noon to 3 p.m. But if you missed the show, if you're just tuning in, just hit up YouTube, search up GameBabble Live Archives, and you will find over 60 episodes of me babbling about games. You should slam face first into at least one of them. I will try to get today's episode up as soon as possible. And, I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week. Until then, here is Fall in Line by Christina Aguilera featuring Demi Lovato here on 89.5 FM KCFV The Wave. Diverse music for your diverse mind.